my name is Andrew Preble, and I am with Delaport Ventures. It's a company I started about 4 or 5 years ago now, and we run Escape My Room here in New Orleans, and we also are about to open Escape Extinction for the Overlook Film Festival, which is why we're here today specifically. We produced an event called Saintsbone, and it's a 2-hour immersive theater production on the streets of the French Quarter. So the Saintsbone experience is a 2-hour immersive production on the streets of the French Quarter, and we decided to launch this. It was kind of a dream of ours almost from the beginning of starting Escape My Room, was to do this immersive piece on the streets, and Overlook kind of provided the excuse to launch it. And so when Overlook came here last year, we thought, oh, well, maybe this would be, we can rush and get it ready. Of course, 1 or 2 months is not enough time to do something like that. So in December, started talking with Overlook about if we could put the show together and have it be part of the festival. And those talks went really well, and we decided to go for it. And so, yeah, we're super excited about it. So part of it too is that we wanted guests to learn about the history and learn about where they are, and New Orleans is such an interesting place to wander around and to discover, and so putting that into the show was super important. One of the other inspirations was for the show were ghost tours and ghost stories, and I think my experience with ghost tours has not been super positive. It's usually a big group of people, maybe up to 20, one person kind of walking around to different locations, rattling off a few stories. Some of them can be good. It's highly dependent on the guide that you get. And so creating Saintsbone, we wanted to bring these ghosts to life and have them tell their own stories, and then through those stories kind of teach people about the place and the history and the culture. I think Saintsbone is a combination of, it's not quite a tour, and that's probably a bad word for it, but I think it certainly is an immersive experience. It certainly is maybe bordering on a puzzle hunt-like experience, or scavenger hunt is a more common name for some puzzle hunts, and that's bringing kind of what we like to do at Escape My Room into the Saintsbone experience as well. So we want the players or the guests to have some agency, and we want them to be able to solve puzzles and use their brains along the way. Escape My Room is really well known for its immersive games and immersive experience from the very beginning. And I think one of the reasons that we've always done that was just, that was something I liked and something I enjoyed and something that I found. I actually didn't play any escape rooms before I opened Escape My Room. It was so early that very few had opened up. I think one in New York, maybe one in San Francisco. But writing the story of it and writing the design was, we wanted there to be this whole backstory. We wanted there to be a reason for guests to come to this place. We wanted there to be a backstory. We, almost from the beginning too, we knew that we wanted to keep the story going and kind of have at least a little thread throughout the whole experience. And so you don't need to play the rooms in order, but they're all centered around this historic New Orleans family called the Delaportes. And so that was just something, I don't know, it's hard to look back now and kind of say, oh, it was this one thing that caused us to do it this way, but I think that's just what made the most sense, and that's what we've always wanted, and what we like. And so I think it's like creating stuff that we like. But yeah, Saintsbone, like I said before, we started back in January writing it and kind of putting together the logistics and the business case. It's something that we want to keep running beyond Overlook, and so from the beginning we were looking at how to be able to sell tickets for it, how we cast it, and using local actors was really important because we want to keep this going beyond Overlook. And in casting, I hate to say, was a little rushed and a little crazy, like always. I think the best intentions for us was to have it all cast by the beginning of April, and I think it wasn't until close to the end of April or early May when it actually was cast. But we're super happy with everyone that we got. There are a few well-known local actors that are a part of it. Nancy White is one of them. She plays Baroness Pentabla. And then a few of the others are less well known, but also we're excited about. And whether or not Saintsbone continues, I think some of them may be working at Escape My Room soon after this, just because they have a strong presence. And so that's something cool and nice to be able to offer actors too, is like paid steady work, and that's really exciting for us. So we went about choosing the characters for Saintsbone because they were well known in the ghost tours and in the ghost stories. So, or just well known. Some of them were well known New Orleans figures, but at the same time, we didn't want to be super boxed in by existing characters. So we created a few of our own, or a few are more loosely based. So Marie Laveau is certainly pretty well known, but I think her casting choice was really interesting because it's a more younger, more fresh-faced Marie Laveau, and so it's kind of a side of Marie Laveau that you may not have seen or known about. Some of the other characters, Baroness Pentabla was she's not normally in ghost stories, but she's a famous New Orleanian. We wanted to shine some light on her. And then we have Jax, who is based around a Sultan ghost story that does exist, although his character is more loosely based. And a few Dauphine Lalaurie, or is that her name? Lalaurie is certainly her last name, but she's probably the most well-known character in New Orleans ghost lore, and has horrific stories that are told about her. And Wainsley is a pirate, and he's kind of based on a Jean Lafitte sidekick. So yeah, it was a mix of like bringing in historical characters and then also, bringing in some new fresh faces to it as well. So, the puzzle and the gameplay of this was certainly meant to be accessible to everyone, and unfortunately for this show, it does have a 21 and up audience. That's just because of some of our locations. We do hope to make that a greater range in the future, and the fact that the actors are there means they can help you along. We were looking at some shows, I guess somewhat inspired by some different shows similar in Los Angeles and New York, and but those maybe had, every time we do one of those shows, we find that the puzzles to be somewhat simple, or the gameplay elements to be a little too simple, or a little not as refined. And so that was a big part of us as an escape room and as a heavy game designer, to make sure that the puzzles are accessible, but also can be difficult for those players who are used to escape rooms and are really a more advanced level of puzzling skill. I mean, it's still fairly early days, but I think Saintsbone has been pretty well received. I was talking with a friend just before I came here, and he's a very well respected director and producer, and he said he had a really great time. I think there have been some minor hiccups, of course, and I think those are just going to get more and more refined as we go forward, and some having to do with locations, or I think last night the comment was that we should never do this on a Saturday night in the quarter ever again, just because it was so crazy and there's so many people wandering around. But I think that's what makes this fun too, and I think those are challenges we'll end up working well with. But yeah, I think the reaction has been pretty good so far, and I think there's always room to improve though, and so we're already looking at the next iteration of this, and like what little things can we tweak or improve upon to make it that much better. So if you'd like to find out more about Saintsbone or Escape My Room or Escape Extinction, we have a few different websites, no one overall site right now. There's escapemyroom.com, which is temporarily hosting the Saintsbone experience information as well. And then we have escape-extinction.com, and that is for our family-friendly aquarium-themed escape room.